Well, hello my friends. Welcome back. Alfred Auto here, the Rebel Turner. This turning should be fairly quick, but it's a rather large piece that I got mounted on the lathe. Let me bring you to the lathe and get started. Right to the point. Anyway, I was doing a little cleanup today after trying to see what I was going to do with my dust collector in the shop, finally. Yeah, I mean, I got a portable dust collector over here, so I'll be able to use it up a little bit when I get to my bandsaw and table saw, and when I'm doing sanding on this. So I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to utilize it to the best way. I was thinking of building it in and making a cabinet. But anyway, back to the wood. I found the centers, of course, going from corner to corner on both sides. Did an intersecting, and I did both, top and bottom. Didn't need to do both, because really all I needed was one side. And on this case, I put it up on a worm screw. So it's on my chuck, but I think you know what a worm screw is. I don't think I need to explain. But anyway, I drilled smack center and I got the screw locked up into my chuck, and I pretty much saw how it was running. And once to put it up into the worm screw, and this is Poplar, by the way, I really pulled it in pretty tight into it, and it's making nice contact on my jaws all the way around. So this is a pretty safe method of mounting. Now, if you have seen many of my videos, you'll see that I've never used a faceplate before. Generally, I go just between centers, spur drive and life center, and I make a tenon. This piece of wood, if you know me, you know that I like things with holes and wormholes, and where nature has played a part on this. And this one does have a few wormholes, but on this particular case, it's not something that I was looking forward to. I would much rather have a nice clean piece of wood for this, because it's going to be a fairly refined piece. It's not jagged edges, or it doesn't have enough activity for me to make it part of its decoration, because it's pretty solid on one side and most of the holes on the opposite side. So therefore it's going to be off balance. So in this case, I might use a filler at the end. So without much further ado, I'm going to go in here, start shaping this up and seeing what's going to develop. And what I think I want to develop is a slightly flared down, if I can get this to right, flared down top, something like that, a bowl, the mortise on the bottom, and on the inside, the inside come up something like this. This is just rough, so you guys know what I'm doing. So I'll have a mortise in here. This will concave and flare back out and make these top edges droop down, and then on the middle I will make a lid for it and hollow up the inside of the center, something like that, if that makes any sense. But if it doesn't, stick around and you're going to see very quickly that I'm going to come up to these lines more or less Probably won't make it as drastic, as dramatic as it is with this much of a curve down on the end. And it will probably flare out a little bit further than this so I can maintain more of its wood. As soon as I get here at this point, it will probably start the curving in. So I think that right about here, more or less, this will be an OG and this will be a concave from here on out. So with this, I'm going to start turning it maybe at 500 RPM. 500 RPM seems to be just fine. If I don't apply some CA to this a little bit, I'm not going to go crazy with CA on this particular turning, but right here I got this check that comes all the way from up here, and it follows up into this void that's worm activity. So make sure that I get that to seal itself. And while I'm at it, this is a time that you check to see if you got any other checking that you might need to address. This hole over here might be on the outside, on the upper part of my vessel, so I should be okay with that. Just got to work still this area a little bit more. Going through here. And I will maintain where it concaves is inside of these flat ends. I'm actually going to make it a tenon on this. But I'll make the tenon for my oversized drawers as well. Might as well do a little bit of sanding on this because this profile looks pretty good, and I'm not, with the wobbling that I got in here, I'm not going to be able to get much cleaner than this. The cuts are not too bad. I got a little bit of tear out, of course, on the two ends, but not bad at all. I can definitely live with that. So maybe grit, sandpaper, and clean it up real quick. So this is a good size piece. Make sure you get it nice and tight in here. And for the beginning of this, while I'm shaping it and while I can, I will still maintain the my live center in there. There will be a time that I need to remove it, but until then, there's no sense me trying to be superhero here. We don't gain much by superhero acts. Well, I'm going to continue doing this, but because of function of the piece, I'm actually going to make this as a bowl all the way down. I'm not going to make the lid that I specified. The boss was just in here, and she would rather see this as a whole platter rather than a decorative piece. So that's the direction I'm going to go with this. The system is the same, it's just easier. Now I've got to be careful so these wings don't come flying off at you if you're doing something like this. Thickness is good. I'm getting close to where I need to be. I'm going to keep this whole thing because it's a bulky piece. I don't need it to be fragile to the touch. I want it to feel a little bit of bulk to it. You know, but that's me. You do it the way you think you should. If you think it should be thin, then it should be thin. I am only giving you opinions on how I look at things and not necessarily the way you should look at things. The bottom is a tenon that I got there, but I am concaved before that tenon. So I have to be careful on how far down I go with this. The way it is right now, I mean, this piece is fairly thick piece of wood. It's almost 2 inches thick, by the way. But yes, and I know I could make a thing with a stick in the middle to measure it, but you know me, I don't do what everybody does, but by all means, I got 1 3/8 here, and I got 2 inches before I would hit bottom. So I'm going to go down a little bit more and then clean this up. Time to start thinking about my final cuts. So I'm going to go in here one more time now and make a nice gradual cut, hopefully in one piece, and get rid of all these tool marks. other thing is, don't be so proud that you think that by using another tool that will give you a nice clean finish, it's cheating. You use whatever tools you got. That's going to make it easier for you. Using a scraper, you should be above, slightly above center. But this looks pretty good other than this area right here, and that's the cross grain. So, see if I can get that a little bit cleaner. Okay, so I'm going to fill these with some colored epoxy. So the first thing I'll do is close up the back sides of this with some tape so the epoxy doesn't run through. Don't need a lot. And this one, I'm going to put some of the red glitter in there. Not for the glitter effect, but just for the coloration. Now there's different methods to do this, and I'm not going to go over all the different methods. This is just what I have right now that would make something a little different, and it's handy. So just utilizing this. Okay, it's sent it to 320. It's time to apply a little bit of Yorkshire grit. Now I'm not going to be able to rub the heck out of this on these outside edges, but I can sure as heck do most of it. A little bit of nice spalting on this poplar. Well, it's done. It didn't take long on the turning, but I did change from the initial design, which was going to be a vessel of some sort. I decided, because of the size and how it looked and the imperfections in the wood and a lot of other variables, and then the big boss coming out here and saying, oh, you know, that a vessel doesn't get much use, but yet the platter would. So a platter it is. And it's a good size. This, of course, was almost 12 inches diameter, the overall log. But when you take into account the corner to corner on the size of the piece, it's 16 inches corner to corner. The edging is fairly uniform all the way through, and it's about 1/4 inch thick, and the platter itself is a little bit thicker, because no matter what, I wanted to separate it. I didn't want this to follow up all the way from outside as this follow. I wanted to do this little bead over here, break it up, give it a central area. The epoxy that I filled in with the little red glitter, it's nice. It gives it a fire red look to it, very deep, as a matter of fact. It almost looks like there's lighting inside of these little pieces. I don't think you can pick that up, but I was sorry that I had done that in colored epoxy, actually, when I was doing it. But after seeing it cleaned out, and it's not so pronounced that it doesn't look like it's a glitter. It just looks like lighting is coming from the back of some of these. So I think that it's just enough on the red. The bottom is the same thing. So here's a finished 16-inch platter. Nice spalting on this half over here. So it's a sky, a cloudy sky into a flowing sea, I guess, or a desert. Either way, it is what it is. Thanks for watching. We'll see you very soon again with something else. Take care.